Grandma, you will look like this soon.
My 4-year-old granddaughter drew a portrait of me. But, suddenly, she started coloring over my face with a red crayon.
Oh, Grandpa says you need to run away now.
Other people wouldn't understand the words that my granddaughter just said. Because my husband passed away 6 months ago. But I knew that my granddaughter had a mysterious power. And upon seeing her like that, someone started to tremble. Life is unpredictable. My husband Ronald suddenly passed away in a traffic accident when he was 61 years old. After retiring, we had planned to enjoy traveling together. However, losing my husband, whom I had been together with since high school and throughout our lives, was a profound sorrow. Thanks to the inheritance Ronald left to me, I didn't have financial worries, but the loneliness only grew stronger. What saved me was living about a 30-minute drive away from my son, his wife, and my 4-year-old granddaughter, Grace. Wendy, my daughter-in-law, is 5 years older than my son, Alan. She lost her parents when she was younger, so she has cherished us like her own parents. She is kind and reliable, and she's been more than a suitable wife for my son, who often gets into trouble. Actually, Alan had started his own business with a loan from my husband. Fortunately, the company was doing well, which gave us peace of mind.
It seems Alan has settled down with a family now, so we can finally relax.
Yes, really. Thanks to Wendy, we also have an adorable grandchild. My husband, who used to talk with me like that, is no longer here. Even as time passed, I found it difficult to accept his death. Perhaps concerned about me, my daughter-in-law started bringing my granddaughter over more often. Thanks to her, the sadness of losing my husband gradually began to fade away. My son rarely visited us at home, citing his busy work schedule, which was understandable. Alan became delinquent during puberty that made us worry a lot, but now he's working diligently and seems to be taking care of his family, which brings me comfort. Thank you, Wendy. It's all thanks to you that our boy is doing so well.
Oh. No, It's not like that.
When I expressed my gratitude to my daughter-in-law, she wore a complex expression on her face. And she avoided eye contact with me, looking down with a thoughtful demeanor. You seem a bit down. Is something bothering you?
Oh, it's nothing. It's not a big deal.
Seeing Wendy giving an evasive answer, I briefly wondered if she and my son had had an argument. However, when Wendy wasn't around, my granddaughter said something that caught my attention.
Mommy doesn't have any money. Grandma, can you buy me a toy? Grandpa is worried too.
What? Okay, I'll get you one later. I was puzzled by Grace's roundabout way of asking for something. And bringing up my deceased husband didn't seem like something a 4-year-old would come up with on her own. I wonder if Wendy is prompting her to say this? I felt uneasy about it, but I kept my mouth shut because I couldn't bring myself to ask Wendy about it. Indeed, life is full of worries and challenges that never seem to end. It's been nearly a year since my husband's accident, yet the driver who hit him still hasn't been caught. On that day, my husband was walking our beloved dog Terry, and it happened in a narrow alley with good visibility. According to the police, there were no skid marks from the car. I had been living day by day, hoping they would catch the hit-and-run driver soon, for his sake as well. One day, as usual, Wendy and Grace came to my house. When I was watching my granddaughter play with her toys, my daughter-in-law said something unexpected.
Lately, Grace has been acting strangely.
Oh. In what way? According to Wendy, Grace was laughing by herself, so she asked her what was going on.
I'm playing with Grandpa.
She said that. It was thought that my granddaughter, being close to her grandfather, was experiencing a psychological shock from his loss. However, she said something that surprised me as well.
Grandma, did you take blood pressure medicine in the morning? You mustn't forget.
Huh? I was taken aback. Because that was something my late husband used to say. I have high blood pressure and take medication every morning. But I often forget, so my husband always reminded me. But it was something only he and I knew about.
I thought so.
She nodded. Be careful not to get burned, Wendy. It seems she was also surprised when Grace suddenly said to her. It turns out that those were the words my husband used to quietly remind Wendy, who had burned herself while cooking before. My daughter-in-law and I started believing that our granddaughter could really see my husband. Thank you. You still worry about your family. I want to see you soon. I spoke to my husband's portrait and wiped away tears. I thought that if Grace could talk to my late husband, she might know information about the person who hit him with the car, but she didn't say anything about that. Amidst all this, my son visited me for the first time in a while, with his wife and daughter. Our beloved dog Terry always wagged his tail happily when he saw my granddaughter Grace, but for some reason, on that day, he barked at my son's family. I hurriedly took Terry outside, petting his head to calm him down, but I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. Who was he barking at? However, my granddaughter's sweet voice quickly dispelled such thoughts from my mind.
Today, Grace will make delicious pancakes for Grandma.
Oh, thank you. That sounds wonderful. When I was watching a heartwarming scene in which Wendy and Grace were making pancakes together in the kitchen, my son talked to me.
Mom, I need to talk to you about something.
Huh? My son said he had a matter to discuss that he didn't want his wife to hear, and he led me to a room in the back. What Alan told me was shocking. It turns out that when my husband passed away, we divided his savings of about $1 million equally between me and my son. However, Alan said that his wife had spent all of it. $500,000 in just 1 year?
Yeah, that's right. It's unbelievable.
Apparently, she used the savings to help her guardians, her aunt and uncle, who were facing bankruptcy.
Wendy pretends to be a good wife, but she has a greedy side when it comes to money.
Alan says he was constantly questioned by her, asking if he didn't want to help her relatives. That kind Wendy?
Yeah. It really got to me. She said, "It's just a matter of time before I, the only son, inherit the property of this house. I can't wait for that day." She's two-faced, isn't she?
I couldn't believe it. But then I recalled that strange look on my daughter-in-law's face the other day. I had thought of Wendy as my own daughter, but it made me sad to hear that she was after money. How awful.
Right? Mom, you believe in Wendy, so I thought I should tell you the truth. I'm sorry for giving you a tough time.
My son cared about my feelings, but he asked me to keep this to myself because his wife would get angry if she found out. I felt unsettled, but because of my granddaughter, I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Alan said they were short on living expenses due to his wife's spending, so I gave him $1,000 from my mattress savings, but he looked disappointed when he saw it.
Mom, this isn't enough.
Indeed, it might not be enough for a family of 3 to live on. All right, I'll withdraw more from my bank account and give it to you later.
Got it. I feel bad for making you worry. I'll pay you back later. Anyway, Wendy really gets on your nerves, doesn't she?
When I nodded in agreement with my son's words, I heard my granddaughter calling out to me.
Grandma, the pancakes are ready.
I stopped talking with my son. Okay, I'm coming right now. I responded to her.
I guess I have no choice but to do it.
I felt like I heard my son muttering this behind me. I wondered what he meant by that, but my granddaughter came to me, so I couldn't ask my son about it. An hour later, after enjoying delicious pancakes, another surprising thing happened that caught me off guard. My granddaughter took out crayons and a drawing pad from the drawer and drew a portrait of me. Her drawing depicted me with big eyes and long eyelashes, looking like a princess. It made me smile involuntarily. Wow, you drew me so beautifully. Grace smiled at me, and then picked up a red crayon. And in the next moment, she pressed the red crayon against my portrait and vigorously colored it all in red. In the picture, I looked as though I had been covered in blood.
Stop it.
Wendy quickly grabbed Grace's hand, but she looked bewildered.
But Grandpa said Grandma will look like this soon.
I was left speechless by the words of my granddaughter who had a mystery power. Then, after staring into empty space for a while, Grace suddenly turned serious and ran towards me.
Grandma, run away from here. It's dangerous.
She earnestly pleaded with me. I don't understand. What does she mean? Who is she telling me to run away from? And upon hearing her words, someone started to tremble. It was Wendy. She had a pale face, and even though it wasn't hot, she was sweating on her forehead. Are you trying to kill me?
No, no way. It's just that Grace's words were scary. You and I get along well, right?
She said with a smile, but her eyes did not reflect the smile. What is the truth? I was completely confused, but the one I trusted the most was Grace. As I pondered everything, my granddaughter quietly whispered into my ear.
Grandpa says you should tell Mom clearly.
Okay. I understand, Grace. Even though I said that, the atmosphere became awkward that day, so I asked my son's family to leave. After I calmed myself down, I took out my phone and made a call to someone. 3 days later, I got a call from Alan.
About the money we talked about the other day.
I know. Come over. I withdrew it from the bank as promised.
Thank you. I'll come over soon.
My son must have been quite desperate for money, so he came to our house later that day.
Wendy kept asking me for more money again, and she took all the money I had. That's why I need more.
I thought so I've prepared something important.
Huh? Like, maybe property deeds or something? Are you talking about passing on the entire inheritance to me as the heir? Mom, you're really understanding. Alright, show me that important thing.
My son eagerly urged with sparkling eyes and a beaming smile, looking delighted. So I showed what I had prepared to Alan. Here you go. It was a bottle containing bright red powder and red wine. Upon seeing it, he, whose face changed the color and eyes widened, exclaimed,
Why is it here?
I actually knew that Wendy wasn't a bad person like my son had said. After all, she had treated both my husband and me with genuine kindness. So I secretly called her out and persuaded her. I think of you as my own daughter. I know you're going through something, so I want you to tell me everything. Then she started telling me the shocking truth in tears. Upon hearing that, I decided to investigate my son with my daughter-in-law. The red powder and wine were found by my daughter-in-law while she was searching their home, and they were hidden in Alan's bag in the back of the closet. Inside the bag, there was also a book about poisonous plants and printed pages from the internet detailing what happens if they are ingested. Additionally, there was a note detailing a plan to take my life. Alan had intended to mix the red powder into the wine and make me drink it. It said you'd vomit blood and suffer if you drink it. If I had drunk it, I would have been just as my granddaughter had drawn. On that day, Wendy started shaking when she heard Grace's words because she realized that Alan was targeting my life. I glared sharply at my son. You were trying to kill me for money, weren't you?
Huh? Do you really think I would do something like that to Mom? I don't know anything about that powder or wine. Wendy must have been the one who prepared them.
What? So are you saying Wendy's responsible for all of this?
That's right. She was trying to set me up. It's all that woman's doing.
At that moment, the door of the next room slammed open forcefully. The person who appeared there was trembling with anger, fists clenched tightly.
You liar. How dare you say such a thing?
Wendy, why are you here?
Your mother believes me. I told her everything.
To expose my son's lies, I had asked my daughter-in-law to hide in the next room. According to Wendy, my son's company was suffering from poor management, operating on a shoestring every month. Debt collectors were not only coming to the company but also their house, and my son and his wife were struggling to cover living expenses. They had no extra money for things like Grace's toys. During that time, my husband passed away. It seems my daughter-in-law witnessed Alan's smirk upon receiving the news. It seems that with the inheritance, he managed to repay his debts. However, Wendy had a sense of unease about Alan continuing to borrow money repeatedly to sustain his business afterward. This troubled her deeply. All the stories my son told about using money for his wife's foster parents were lies. Her aunt and uncle lived modestly and peacefully, with no debt whatsoever. Furthermore, Wendy investigated his computer. She mentioned his carelessness in not having a password, which made it easy for her to access its contents. From there, Wendy found Alan's plans written in a diary style. It revealed that my son intended to kill me and monopolize the inheritance for himself. In addition, it was discovered that Alan had also been responsible for my husband's death. With this much evidence, there's no way you can escape.
Well.
Realizing he couldn't escape, my son turned pale and started trembling uncontrollably. Then he began making excuses to try to justify himself.
But when I asked Dad for help because the company was going under, he told me I should just give up.
So?
Isn't that terrible? A parent who won't help their own son isn't a real parent.
According to the plan in the document, Alan knew Ronald and Terry's walking route and ambushed my husband, running him over with a car. When my son's family came to our house, the one who our beloved dog Terry barked at was Alan, who had taken my husband's life. Such a terrible thing to do.
I didn't want to do it either, but it was the only way to get money in exchange for Dad's life. Mom, you'll help me, won't you?
After targeting my life, Alan suddenly changed his attitude and begged me for help. Thinking of my husband's feelings, I felt a burning heat surge through my entire body, and a rage unlike anything I had ever experienced before welled up within me. Ronald didn't abandon his son, but surely, he must have wanted Alan to start anew for the sake of his wife and children. Someone who tramples on their father's feelings like you isn't my child. I'll never forgive you.
But please, help me.
I recorded this conversation too, so now I have all the evidence. You just need to talk to the police. After I delivered my cutting remark, my son seemed to realize that saying anything more would be futile. He collapsed to his knees right there on the spot. Afterward, my son and his wife divorced. Alan was arrested and sentenced to live behind bars for many years. I adopted Wendy, and she became my daughter. Now, we live happily together with Grace and our beloved dog Terry. It's the rainy season. I could hear the raindrops tapping on the leaves in the garden. At that moment, my grandchild whispered to me again.
Grandpa says meeting Grandma is still a long way off.
Until the day I can meet my husband again, I will continue to live happily and true to myself. Ah. Sister? I spotted someone who looked like my sister at the shopping mall and couldn't help but call out to her. She tried to walk past me, ignoring me. It has to be her. That person is definitely my sister. She has a mole under her eye. My sister has a mole under her left eye. I grabbed her arm this time. Hey, wait. You're my sister, aren't you?
Oh, it's you.
She replied nonchalantly. It really is you. Where have you been and what have you been doing for the past 10 years?
That's none of your business. Oh, by the way, is that defective daughter still doing well?
Doing well? What are you talking about? She's right here in front of you. Her. Upon seeing her own daughter, my sister suddenly started trembling. My name is Lisa, and I'm 35 years old. I currently work as a freelance illustrator. I have a sister a year older than me. Her name is Rita. She takes after our mother and has been known as a beauty in the neighborhood since childhood. On the other hand, I resemble our father. We have such contrasting facial features that we hardly look like sisters at all. I've always felt a clear sense of unease in how our mother treated us differently. When we were young, I didn't notice it at all, but looking at photos now, the differences are clear. My sister wore a cute ribbon in her hair and a frilly pink dress, whereas I wore a yellow t-shirt with blue pants. In another photo, she had a cute straw hat on and a red gingham dress. I wore a slightly dirty white t-shirt and shorts, probably given to me by a neighborhood boy. When it came to hobbies, it was the same.
Rita, let's have you learn the violin.
Yay! I'm so happy. It's perfect for me.
That's right. When Rita plays the violin, everyone will be enchanted, won't they?
Mom, I want to learn the violin too.
Huh? Lisa, you're still too young, so no.
In the end, I never got the chance to learn the violin. However, my sister had no talent for the violin at all and would secretly skip practice sessions behind our mother's back. The expensive violin that was bought for her ended up becoming a mere decoration in the corner of the living room. Yet, despite this, my mother continued to spoil my sister and let her have her way. My sister has been selfish since she was little, and always said mean things to me. Though she has a cute face, she was terrible at studying. Our mother always told her,
Rita, girls don't need to be good at studying. pretty girls like you can marry rich men.
Really? Then I don't need to worry about bad grades.
My sister grew up, taking my mother's words seriously. My mother had overwhelming power at our house. My father was kept under her controls and compliant with her. However, he was always on my side and supported me. Since I was young, I've always loved drawing. When I was in elementary school, thanks to a new art class opening in the neighborhood, I was able to attend regularly. At that time, my father waited for a moment when my mother was in a good mood and convinced her to let me attend the art class. My mother said drawing was just enough for a plain child like me. By that time, I had already learned not to let her words bother me, so I remember being overjoyed and jumping for happiness just to be able to attend the art class. As she grew older, my sister became more and more beautiful. She attended a local university with a low deviation score and won a beauty pageant. My mother used to tell her that she could become an announcer in the future, but she realized that being an announcer required good academic achievements and gave up on the idea. I went to an art college out of state. Finally, I could move out of the house. I was worried about my father, but he encouraged me, so I decided to live alone. After becoming a college student, I gradually grew apart from my family home. However, only my father would find time to come and visit me, so I kept informed about what was happening at home through him. According to my father, my sister graduated from university and is now working as a receptionist at a major company. My mother was overjoyed and has been proudly boasting to the neighbors that being pretty indeed brings advantages. 2 years later, my sister married a man from the same company, as my mother wished. After getting married, she quit her job and became a long-awaited homemaker. They lived in a high-rise apartment and had a leisurely life, which was the epitome of lifestyle. I heard they have been blessed with children and she gave birth to a daughter. Meanwhile, I graduated from art school and got a job at an illustration company. There, I met a man named Mike, and we started dating, eventually getting married. My husband Mike is gentle and always smiling. Somehow, he reminds me of my father, and being with him brings me a sense of calm. Half a year after getting married, I became pregnant. We welcomed a baby girl into the world. We named her Tina. With the birth of my daughter, I decided to become an independent freelance illustrator. Our family of 3 was leading a happy life together. When my daughter turned 1, I received a phone call from my sister out of the blue. It had been a while since we saw each other. I nervously picked up the phone, wondering what she could possibly want.
Lisa, how have you been? It's been a while.
I've been good. What's up all of a sudden?
I just gave birth to my second child, but my older one is going through a terrible tantrum phase and driving me crazy. She never listens to me anymore, and honestly, she's not adorable at all.
Oh, you had your second child? I didn't know. Congratulations.
Oh, that doesn't matter right now. Hey Lisa, can you take care of my older child? Just for a little while.
Tina is still not even 1 year old. I can't handle 2 kids. Why don't you ask Mom?
Oh, no, Mom is too old to take care of grandchildren. Just for 2 or 3 days, please.
But, I need to discuss this with my husband first. I can't make this decision on my own.
Lisa, you're the only one I can rely on. Please consider it positively.
Despite my concern for my niece, I had no intention of taking care of her. The next day, without any prior notice, my sister came to my house. When I checked the intercom, I saw her standing there with a baby in a carrier. I was surprised, and I opened the door, and then I found there was also a little girl holding my sister's hand. My sister boldly entered the house.
This is her. Her name is Luna. She's 2 years old.
Luna, who my sister introduced, kept her head down.
I'll come pick her up in 2 or 3 days. Oh my God. She really is driving me crazy.
Hey, don't be selfish. I haven't agreed to this yet.
Come on. It's just for 2 or 3 days.
And as she looked at the baby in her arms, my sister said,
The younger one is quiet and adorable. And her face is pretty, unlike Luna's, don't you think?
I was speechless and couldn't believe what I was hearing. When I looked at Luna's face, I found it hard to refuse. My sister started to get ready to leave. Luna didn't follow her mother. All right. But just for 2 or 3 days. I told my sister quietly so that Luna wouldn't hear, and I reluctantly agreed to take care of Luna.
Luna's change of clothes and diapers are in her backpack. Alright then, good luck. Lucky me, I can finally relax without Luna around.
She left without saying a word to Luna. Meeting my sister after a long time, I weakly smiled at how she hadn't changed at all. She really is like Mom, I thought, and I couldn't help but see similarities between Luna and myself. I glanced over at Luna and saw her playing house with Tina. I joined them and started playing together with them. Then I noticed that Luna was playing hesitantly, as if she was trying to gauge my feelings. Luna, you can play with whatever you like. Luna looked down and avoided eye contact with me. For today, I decided to quietly observe Luna from a distance. Throughout the day, Luna did not leave Tina's side. I told my husband beforehand about Luna over the phone. He came home with snacks for both of them.
I'm home. Luna, Tina, I got some treats for you.
My husband returned with a smile brighter than usual, and upon seeing the snacks in his hand, Luna's eyes sparkled with joy.
Thank you.
This was the first time I heard Luna's voice. My husband looked at me and smiled warmly. Since I had talked to my husband about my sister and mother, he must have understood my feelings. Mike, I bet you were surprised by all this. I'm sorry for taking Luna without discussing it with you.
Lisa, it's okay. You don't need to apologize. Tina looks happy to have an older sister, don't you think? I don't mind taking care of Luna.
Thank you. My husband smiled while watching the two of them. From the next day onwards, Luna started to show us her smile little by little. She also took good care of Tina. Luna helped with changing diapers and wiping Tina's mouth after meals. Each time I thanked Luna, she would smile happily. On the day my sister came to pick Luna up, I was packing her stuff into her backpack.
No, I don't want to go home. No.
Luna, Mommy's coming to pick you up. You can come to visit us anytime.
No, no. Mommy, no.
Then she hid behind the sofa. When I recalled my sister's attitude towards Luna, it was understandable, but since I'm not her real parent, I can't continue to take care of her like this. There was still time before pickup, so I decided to play with Luna as much as possible, and the three of us had a great time playing together. However, my sister still hadn't picked Luna up in the evening, and I had to call my sister. No matter how many times I tried, her sister didn't answer the phone, so I ended up taking care of Luna again that day. The next day, I'd been calling her many times since morning, but there was no response. Fortunately, it was Saturday. I left Luna and Tina with my husband and decided to visit her house. I visited her house for the first time. When I arrived at the high-rise apartment my father told me, I was overwhelmed by its magnificence. So, my sister has been having a leisurely life in such a place. I pressed the number of their room my father had given me, but there was no answer. Additionally, my sister did not pick up the phone either. The building manager came out. Perhaps he became suspicious seeing me ringing the doorbell repeatedly. When I explained the situation, he told me that my sister's family had moved overseas due to her husband's overseas assignment. I couldn't hide my shock and collapsed on the spot. At the same time, I was filled with anger at my sister's selfishness. I contacted my father immediately, and he was just as surprised as I was. It seemed my sister had not visited our parents' home at all since her marriage and had become estranged from our mother. I hurried home and explained everything to my husband.
There's no use in worrying. We'll take care of Luna. Your parents are elderly, and it would be difficult for them to look after her. Besides, I noticed today that Tina and Luna get along very well.
You're right. Luna was very reluctant to go back to my sister's place. If you're okay with it, Mike, then let's do it. Seeing my husband calmly talking with a smile as usual, I regained my composure. We decided to talk to Luna. Luna couldn't understand the complexities of the situation, but she was overjoyed about staying with us instead of going back to her mom. She ran around the house, expressing her happiness. Luna, as if she was our own child, grew up healthy. Contrary to what my sister had warned, Luna didn't cause any trouble at all. Though she acted like a spoiled child sometimes, she was a very endearing child. It seemed Tina considered Luna as her real sister. The two of them are inseparable, doing everything together just like real sisters. I watched over them with a warm smile, touched by their bond. When the two of them were in elementary school, while we were out shopping, we were approached by someone. It was what is commonly known as a scout. They asked if Luna and Tina would be interested in modeling. Indeed, the two of them are known for their pretty appearance among mom friends and neighbors. On top of that, they have small faces, long legs, and a slender model-like physique. When I asked them if they wanted to try modeling, both of them said they would give it a try if they could do it together. I signed a contract with the agency under the condition that it wouldn't interfere with their school life, ensuring it was manageable for them. They started their modeling work only on school breaks. At first, they appeared small at the bottom of pages, but as they gained popularity, they eventually made it to the cover of magazines. However, Luna and Tina remained unchanged from before they started modeling. They never showed any air of superiority. At school, they remained just typical elementary school students. After school, they played with friends at the park, mimicked their favorite idols by dancing, and so on. 10 years had passed since my sister went missing, and this happened when Luna was in 6th grade. I took Luna and Tina to the shopping mall to watch a movie. It was an anime film that we had promised to watch together. Something happened when we were going to their favorite shop to buy stationery after we left the movie theater. I passed by my sister. She had no makeup on, and her hair was messy. She was dressed in a sweatsuit, and was completely different from how she used to look. But, she was definitely my sister. Ah. Sister? I couldn't help but call out to her. She tried to walk past me, ignoring me. It has to be her. That person is definitely my sister. She has a mole under her eye. My sister has a mole under her left eye. It seemed like she noticed me too. I grabbed her arm this time. Hey, wait. You're my sister, aren't you? My sister turned around with an annoyed look on her face.
Oh, it's you, I didn't notice.
It really is you. Where have you been and what have you been doing for the past 10 years? Then she responded grumpily.
That's none of your business. Oh, by the way, is that defective daughter still doing well?
Doing well? What are you talking about? She's right here in front of you. Her. Upon seeing her own daughter, my sister suddenly started trembling.
What? You're Luna. You've grown so beautiful. You've become just like me. Oh, wait, are these two Luna and Tina, the models? Their names are the same, and I was impressed to see there's also such a pretty Luna. I never knew that model was my Luna. What a surprise.
My sister pulled her face. Anyway, why didn't you contact me all this time? You disappeared without saying anything. I even went to your apartment. Then they told me you went overseas. Do you have any idea how Luna has been feeling all this time? It's terrible.
Fine, I get it. If you insist, I'll take Luna home.
My sister looked sulky as she tried to take Luna's hand. However, Luna brushed her hand away.
You're not my mom. Don't be selfish. I don't remember your face, your voice, or anything about you.
That makes sense. Since Luna was 2 years old, I raised her just like I did Tina, treating them equally like sisters. Now, Luna calls me mom. We left my sister and went home that day. However, starting from that day, I received calls from my sister every day. My sister said she wanted to take Luna back. I wanted to prioritize Luna's feelings, so I asked her what she wanted to do, and then she said she wanted to stay with us and refused to go back to my sister. I told Luna's feelings to my sister. She became furious and ambushed Luna on her way home from school, trying to take her away forcibly. Luna screamed loudly, calling for help. My sister was taken away by the police who happened to pass by. She only received a stern warning that day, but her actions escalated further. She started to follow Luna, engaging in behavior reminiscent of stalking. Furthermore, she spread rumors to the neighbors that I had kidnapped Luna, which was completely untrue. Unable to tolerate it any longer, I visited a law firm and decided to sue my sister. I accused her of child neglect for the past 10 years and defamation against me. As a result of the trial, I won the case, and my sister avoided a prison sentence but was ordered to pay a fine. According to the lawyer, my sister's husband's company went bankrupt, which forced them to return to the country a year ago. He didn't receive any severance pay, and now they both are working as part-time cleaners. After that, I cut ties with my sister. I adopted Luna, and she officially became my daughter. Since I had been raising her like my own daughter, our life hasn't changed at all. We'll continue to live happily together as a family of 4, just as we always have.